Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake and I have some news. Chevrolet has officially unveiled the 2024 Corvette ERay, which they teased in 2022 as the first electrified Corvette. Now, we've spent time with both the C8 Stingray and the C8 Z06, but this is going to be the third model, and we finally have some details on what it's going to be. So let's get into it. Now, first things first, the Corvette ERay is going to be a regular hybrid. It's just going to be, kind of a Prius-y Corvette, which I'm sure Chevy hates that I just said, but point being, there's no plug involved. It's just going to have a 1.9 kilowatt hour battery pack that goes between the seats, and it will charge like any other regular hybrid as you drive, as you use the brakes, that sort of thing. Now, that battery pack is going to feed an electric motor that only drives the front axle. So Chevy is saying the Corvette ERay is all-wheel drive, and it is, but they're doing it with some trickery. The ERay's electric motor is going to drive the front axle, and it alone will produce 160 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque. Meanwhile, on the back axle, it's going to be driven by the same 6.2-liter V8 that we know from the C8 Corvette Stingray. So that will make 495 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque on its own. Chevy says that the total power output of this whole system is 655 horsepower. Now, that 655 horsepower figure means two things with the ERay's basic performance: 0 to 60 time in 2.5 seconds and a quarter mile time of 10.5 seconds. Those are both very impressive figures on their own, and of course, those sorts of figures don't tell the entire story, but they're a good starting point. Now, for comparison, Car and Driver got a C8 Stingray with the Z51 performance package from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, and their quarter mile came out in 11.2 seconds. Those may not sound like super big differences, but when you look at the percentages of improvement of those times, those are actually pretty big deals. And it's gonna feel like getting hit with a sledgehammer if you do any sort of launch control, 0 to 60 or 0 to whatever. Beyond that, let's just talk about general electric assist, how that all works. So the electric assist from that front axle is going to be based on your drive mode. There is a full stealth mode that Chevy says allows you to drive up to 45 miles an hour on pure electric power. And they say it's for things like leaving your neighborhood early in the morning. If you don't want your neighbors to hear that really nice exhaust that comes from the 6.2, you can start the car and set it to only run on the electric motor just to get you out of the neighborhood, get you a little farther away from everybody else. Let's say you're leaving early in the morning on the way to like a track day. Now, speaking of track days, those will also use the ERay's electric motor, and there will be a Charge Plus mode that Chevy says will maximize the battery's state of charge for extended lapping. The car will know that you're going to be on a track with heavy braking. It will try to regen as much juice as it can every time you're on the brakes really hard, and that way you've got the maximum amount of power available as you apply the throttle to get out of a corner. Speaking of braking, Brembo carbon ceramic brake calipers will be standard on the Corvette ERay, as will be magnetic ride control 4.0. Those two things are optional on other C8 Corvettes, but they will be standard here just because of the overall performance. I think Chevy's trying to make this one of the top performing models of Corvette, of course, and we'll get to the price in just a second, but they have to justify this price somehow. So they're adding those Brembos and MagRide. Now, visually, the Corvette ERay will also have some differences. The ERay's body is going to be shared with the Corvette Z06, which is a move that they say is necessary to get wider wheels that help get power and torque down to the ground. The wheels are going to be a unique 5-spoke design. They will be in a staggered 20-inch front, 21-inch rear set of sizes. And tires here are kind of an interesting thing. You're going to get a Michelin Pilot Sport All Season as your standard tire, which I think is kind of a nod to the all-wheel drive, making the ERay useful in winter weather conditions or bad weather conditions. Chevy wants to make this a little bit more of an all-arounder sort of car. They also say there's an optional performance package that will be available, and Michelin Pilot Sport 4S summer tires will be available there. Now, if you're going to just be driving around and looking for a Corvette ERay, how do you tell that one has driven by? You have to do something to make them stand out, of course. So Chevy has given them standard body color trim and carbon flash badging, so black badges. Those will be the easiest way to tell an ERay from other C8 models. Now, bright badging, so silver badging, will be available, as are black exhaust tips, carbon fiber ground effects, and carbon fiber wheels with a couple different finishes. Those are all optional on the C8 ERay. Other things visually, Chevy's added some new paint colors. There are 14 paint colors available on the C8 ERay. One of them is called Riptide Blue, which you're seeing right now. To me, it looks like a variant of Riptide Blue that was offered on the GMT 800 Cadillac Escalade and GMC Yukon Denali, which I loved. I owned a Denali, and that color was phenomenal in the sun. This looks to be a little bit brighter variant of it, but it's very, very pretty. There will also be an ERay exclusive interior called Artemis Dipped with dark green accents, which again, love that we're going a little weird, getting some color, especially in a sports car, very, very fun. If you don't want a green interior, there will be 6 other interior colors available. So glad that Chevy is keeping all of these options for different colorways that you can choose when you spec your C8 Corvette. Now the 2 final questions here, when will this thing go on sale and how much will it cost? Well, the Corvette ERay will go on sale in 2023 as a 2024 model year vehicle, and the 1LZ Coupe, which in normal C8 Stingray terms, the 1LT is your basic model, so I suspect 1LZ is going to be the basic ERay. The 1LZ Coupe will carry an MSRP of $104,295. So that is, of course, fairly expensive for one of these. You're kind of up in Z06 territory, but I think performance and, overall state of where this thing sits in the Corvette lineup, this is, of course, meant to be one of those top C8s. We, of course, will be trying to get some seat time with a C8 Corvette ERay as soon as we can, so be sure to subscribe right here on YouTube so you don't miss a single thing. Till next time, please stay safe, be well, see you again soon.